Okay, fancy enough. There you go.
Now we're officially live here with the Go Team on what is it, Wednesday?
Wednesday.
September 10th.
Uh-huh.
Wednesday night. Hold on, I got a little intro music I want to play. Can you hear it? Because I can't hear it.
I can hear it. Oh, I'm the only one.
Matt, can you hear
It's a
it?
little
I
Louisiana
can't hear
Saturday
you.
night he's playing in honor of you.
Ah,
Because that's how we met Big Orange Mac in Tennessee, 2017, right? November of 17.
yeah.
And I don't know
Yes.
the name of the bar we were in.
I think it was the Half Barrel on the
Okay.
Cumberland Avenue.
And so
I know
we're
it was on
there on a
Cumberland
bachelor,
Avenue. I don't remember the name of the bar.
but we're there for a bachelor party. And then Mac comes up and he throws his arms around a couple other guys with us and sang every word to Louisiana Saturday Night and calling Baton Rouge, finished at the top of his lungs and said, "Now, I bet you didn't think I knew all those words," or something like that. And
Yeah.
we all instantly fell in love with the guy, and we've been friends ever since.
The part I remember is then 5 minutes later. So we're sitting at the back of the bar. It's a
It was a little bit
patio.
longer.
Yeah, and then it's got like a wood fence, but the
This,
boards are
yeah,
going
yeah,
Yeah.
sideways instead of
yeah.
laterally. And then all of a sudden I hear this voice and it says, "You LSU motherfuckers, meet me outside." And I'm like,
And he's got a
at
handle,
first I'm
not a
taken
fist, but he's
aback.
got a handle of
Yeah,
Jack.
then
That was a big
somebody
old
saw the,
bottle.
and then we meet you in the alley and we all take swigs of Jack
Right,
Daniels straight out the
right,
bottle.
right.
I'll never, and we still have a picture of that.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And then he got chased off by the police on a
Yeah.
Oh,
bicycle.
I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. The bicycle police rolled up.
The slowest moving pedal in the history of man. It was something like out of an old silent movie because they didn't want to come over, but they had to keep the bike in motion and upright. So it's just the
Yeah.
slowest, pedal just so that you can make your good getaway. Because you were tailgating with people out front, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We were
Yeah,
in front of the Regions Bank next door to the Half Barrel.
right.
And we were all out there. And I'd went down the street to the liquor store. I was kind of like, they was all running out of. But I was like, man, I'm gonna go buy me. I said, we gotta keep this party going. Hell, the
Right,
game
right.
was like at 7 o'clock Eastern time, so we still had play. I said, we done run out of drink, so I went and got some more drink, and we was passing that ball around. Met you guys, and then I went out front. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. That was the last thing I remember. I don't even remember walking to the stadium. I do remember walking down the steps
Uh-huh.
and there's a guy that I work with. Um, he's a big LSU fan because of Tommy Moffitt.
Okay.
His wife is kin to
Yes.
Tommy Moffitt.
Okay.
So and so I met he met them up there, and they had a big family thing, and I met him, and he said, "Do you remember talking to me?" I was like, "Man, I remember coming down the steps and I took a tumble." And
Oh,
then I
did
remember
you?
sitting through a monsoon. I
And
was so
monsoon.
yeah,
Right. And it was cold.
yeah. Then it got cold. Man, the thing
Yeah.
about that day, it was nice, warm, about
Yeah.
75. That rain come in and it got cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
remember
see,
because
go ahead.
Steve got us tickets. Zombie Bob got us tickets on row two, right behind the LSU bench. And so I've never been that low. It probably does the same thing in Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, where when it rains like that, it all just rushes down. But I've never been that low in the stadium during a monsoon like that. And Steve, do you remember we were literally up to our knees in water?
No. Well, we.
Yeah, I remember like my jeans were soaked all the way to my knee. And then we ended up standing because everybody left because it rained so
Yeah.
much and the crowd thinned because LSU was winning the game pretty good. But I don't want to
But
rub
then
it
all
Yeah,
of
in.
our guys found us down there.
Yeah, that's when everybody
Right.
else joined us back there because
Right.
we only had two tickets together. There was 10 of us, but everybody was dispersed throughout the stadium. But we ended up having to stand on the seats the rest of the game.
I don't
Do you
remember
remember
being
that?
so. I remember cold and wet. I don't remember being soaked to our knees type thing. But
I remember being.
you know,
Maybe you had a
but
few
like
and you don't remember.
The reason that, like, well, if you've ever met Mac, you instantly, become best friends with him. He's such a great guy, and the personality is popping off the page and everything. But LSU and Tennessee are like kissing cousins. You see him at grandma's house maybe every other Christmas. There's
Yeah,
no animosity. There's just, good-natured ribbing and stuff like that. We have mutual enemies. So, like, the bond between LSU and Tennessee fans, oh yeah, absolutely. Which is the next part of the story. So Mac, when did you come down for Baton Rouge for the LSU Tennessee
it
game?
was 2022.
Yeah,
22. All right,
because it
so
was
five
Kelly's
years
first
after
year.
we met you. So then, Daniel and I look at each other and it's like, yeah, like, who we got to invite down here, huh? And Daniel said, you get them down here, we'll take care of everything else. And probably one of the weirdest DMs you've ever gotten on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is my real name. And, like, why don't you come stay with me for the weekend or whatever? But I have all the receipts and all the pictures. And Daniel, Mac, you were there. We go down to Bourbon Street in New Orleans. We go to Pat O'Brien's. I'm showing Mac off, my hometown. And literally, we stepped from the main hallway of Pat O'Brien's onto the patio instantly. Mac, that's Big Orange Mac. That's Big Orange Mac. We had like 4 or 5 photo opportunities. Instantly, people coming over in orange, taking pictures with Mac and everything. I'm just like eating it up, right? And then so we do our thing there. They had a brass band that played, and we're just going to walk down Bourbon Street, and literally got chased down Bourbon Street because people were after Mac, Big Orange Mac. Big Orange Mac, like it's like I'm like, dude, like this is my hometown. I'm considerably older than you. Like, I'm not getting any of this love, but Big Orange Mac, wherever he goes, he gets the love, man. And well
I tell
deserved.
you
Well
what,
deserved.
I tell you what, that was the best time of my life. I had the love that y'all show me, and man, y'all didn't have to do all that for me. I tell you, I told my mom where I was going and who I was staying with, and the first thing out of her mouth was, "Don't leave that man's house dirty when you leave."
Well,
She
right,
said,
right.
"I said yes, man." She said, "You better act right." It was like I was getting all the motherly advice,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
better
right.
act right, this and that. So,
No, it
uh,
was great. The
yeah,
only drawback to that whole weekend was that it was a stupid ass 11 o'clock kickoff. Like it
yeah,
would have been so much better if we had a nighttime
Yeah.
kickoff and had the entire day to spend with you and just soak up the atmosphere. But actually, I got in trouble because remember I had other friends that they were in town for a bachelor party, and they were all Tennessee fans. So we kind of had 9 or 10 Tennessee guys with us, and it rubbed some of Daniel's friends the wrong way. That shall
We
remain nameless.
that shall remain nameless. But I told them to get over it. They weren't paying for it. So
Yeah.
actually, a few of those guys that didn't like us being there actually follow me on the Bird app. So
Oh, of course
we
they. Yeah.
yeah. So
yeah. Oh, I know who they are. And
Oh
I
yeah,
told
they're
them that
knuckleheads.
they're knuckleheads. And but everybody's got a group of friends that got knuckleheads.
Right.
And
yeah,
and I think the fact that y'all kicked our ass that day too.
Well,
Uh
from the opening kickoff, we
yeah,
fumbled the
it
opening
was like
kickoff.
that in
I
stadium
was
experience wasn't a good one because
I
11 o'clock
was
kickoff and we got murdered.
I was not anticipating that. I said, let's just get out of here alive. And I was expecting a beatdown, but I was not expecting it to go our way. Uh, and then I experienced the purple on purple violence.
Oh,
That happened.
That was Chip. That was
that was Chip, brother
That
Chip.
was purple on purple violence, and I was kind of like, man, I get to see other fan bases fight other than people in Neyland on
Right.
Saturday. I've seen orange on orange violence, but I didn't think it was capable anywhere else. So it was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
nice to watch somebody else.
Yeah. I forgot about that, but yeah, then that's when the state trooper said to Chip, like, "You're former military, like, behave yourself. What the hell are you thinking?" Or whatever it was. But
yeah, because me and Nathan had to sit in other seats so that Matt could sit with you, Steve. And so me and Nathan were off in like these other seats that I had that season, which were directly behind the Tennessee section in the south corner, the opposite corner of the south end zone. And so we weren't there, and you were telling me the story after. So I don't even remember what happened with Chip, but he got into it with somebody who was bashing Brian Kelly or something.
I don't remember. I wouldn't have been able to tell
Yeah,
you
it
that
was
you weren't
something
with
like
us.
that. They
Yeah.
were arguing about Brian Kelly, and uh, the guy was kind of like, "This is a bad hire," and Chip was kind of like, "Hey, give the guy a chance, and you don't know ball and shit like that," and
Yeah.
so,
Typical, just back and
No,
forth.
right.
yeah.
Right.
And then
So
the old Smokey Bear come up the steps and kind of like, "Hey, y'all need to chill." So.
right. Right. Purple on purple.
And then
That's
that
funny.
was the same game where another friend of ours, Travis, apparently was chain smoking cigarettes in the stadium. I wasn't there, but I know this story secondhand. And so somebody that was in front of y'all complained, like, who the fuck is smoking in the stadium? You're not supposed to smoke in the stadium. So he told the same marshal or cop. And then Travis threw his pack of cigarettes and hit the guy in the back of the head who complained about him smoking. But at that point, like, the game's like over because Tennessee's annihilating us. And the
What was the
stadium's
final of that game?
40 to
It was like 40,
15.
13,
Yeah,
15, 40, something like that.
Right. Hey,
not
we beat
close.
Alabama that year.
Yeah.
No, 20. Yeah,
Yeah,
22.
we
We beat
did.
Yeah,
Alabama.
yeah, you
Yeah.
beat Alabama.
We went to the
That
SEC
last second.
championship game
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
year.
Yeah. So,
yeah, uh, y'all beat Alabama there, and I think the same day we had lost to UGA that
mhm.
same day.
That is
And
right. I remember that.
yeah, yeah, because I went over to a friend's house to watch the UGA game, and then we turned it over to the LSU game, and we was kind of like, well, you know what? We lost to UGA, but we got to see Bama get their ass beat again. So
Right.
that was,
The enemy of my enemy, man.
Yeah. Now, I will say there is a little bit of a rivalry in one sport in particular. You know,
ah,
baseball, the
Wow.
last three
Right.
national championships
Right.
between
yeah,
LSU and Tennessee. And so there is a little bit more animosity, not animosity, but rivalry
or yeah, with the
because
baseball
of
program.
baseball. And
Yeah,
Tony V loves to get under people's skin.
yeah,
But there is a mutual respect. But if you ever
Oh,
hear
absolutely.
Jay Johnson and Vitello talk about each other, they both glow about each other in their programs. So it's
yeah.
not the rivalry's not the coaches. It's just fans on Twitter
The
getting
fans,
after.
yeah, back and forth on Twitter. Uh, I kind of, it's. I know Tony, like I hate Tony. He's such an arrogant prick and this and that and other, but you'd love to have him in your
Oh,
dugout.
absolutely.
Yeah, so uh, so uh, I hope he's there a long time, and I think that he will be. I remember Tennessee baseball when I was a kid. When Todd Hilton was there, uh, R.A. Dickey was there. They were decent, but they're not
Mhm.
like what they are now.
Right.
Uh, as far as UT athletics as a whole, football, baseball, basketball, women's basketball is coming back. The softball team, hell, even the soccer team, they're doing great right now. I've never seen UT athletics this healthy as a whole. A lot of people's like, well, what about the 90s? I said, the football team was winning in the 90s. Nobody gave a
None of
shit
that
about
shit.
anything else.
Right.
Except for Pat was doing her thing, God rest her soul, greatest women's coach ever. Uh, but other than that, nobody cared about anything else at UT but
Right.
the football program.
Right.
So I remember back before, during the Butch and Pruitt and all that, like the whole athletics department was running in the red. Like they were they were bad off.
Mhm.
I thought I was going to have to start selling feet pics on OnlyFans or something to save the program. I mean, it was that bad. But
Right.
now, I seen that stat on Twitter a few weeks ago talking about all the programs that's got the very wealthy programs like $1 billion programs, and Tennessee's in the top 10. I said we've come a long way
Way, baby.
from
Right.
from being in the red in the program in the
Right.
athletics department. So
Yeah. Well, talking about baseball, and then growing up, you and Daniel are pretty much the same age, and I'm a bit older than both of you. LSU baseball wasn't a thing when I was growing up. It was LSU football, and then that's it. But then Daniel's a child of the '90s, and then Skip Bertman was winning championship after championship, and it's great. But like I don't live and die on the baseball hill like Daniel does with
Yeah.
LSU sports because it wasn't as important in my formative years as it was, with him. But
Yeah, Will Clark grew up what, 2 houses down from our grandparents?
oh yeah,
Really?
yeah. I used to
Yeah.
play,
Okay.
like no, two doors down from my grandparents in New Orleans, and
And he never
I
considered going to LSU because LSU baseball program was a joke
wasn't
because that was
anything.
prior to
Oh,
Skip
so that's
Bertman
why
getting
he
here.
went to Mississippi State.
Mississippi
Yeah, and
State.
Mississippi State was
Okay.
the powerhouse at the time.
But Matt, get a load of this. So Will Clark went to an all-male Catholic high school that was rival to the high school that I went to.
Hmm.
So I went to Brother Martin High School, which is the Brothers of the Sacred Heart, who taught my dad, who taught my grandfather. Will Clark went to Jesuit High School here in New Orleans. But I played football at Brother Martin with his cousin,
Hmm.
Phil Clark. Phil Clark had no athletic ability whatsoever, but the same fucking arrogant attitude. And I would just be like, you're Phil Clark, you're not Will Clark. Like, like it's not the same thing, dude. But it's that family arrogance or that just I can beat your fucking ass regardless of what we're playing, even I really can't. In Phil's, case or whatever, he wasn't that big. I mean, we played ball together, but he wasn't that big of a guy or whatever. But even back then, Will Clark, everybody knew, he was supremely talented at baseball. So,
Yeah,
Wow,
but it's
that's really cool. I mean, wow.
and
well,
didn't he shoot a
I was
BB
just
gun
gonna
through
say,
our?
so like from his backyard through the middle yard between the two houses, he hit he was shooting at a cat or something, and he with a BB gun he put a hole in my grandparents' window. Well, they never fixed it, but they bitched about it constantly. That damn Will Clark, shooting a cat. Get me another beer, But yeah, so anyway, it's a
He's
small
actually
world. It's a small world.
he's actually a client of mine. Did you know
What?
that, Steve? Yeah.
No.
He's on the board of one. I don't want to give away too much information. He's on the board of one of the
He
properties that
lives
we
in
manage.
Louisiana?
Yeah, he lives in Prairieville. So his kids go to
Really?
LSU, and there's a
Okay.
high-end condo complex that he's affiliated with. And he's not the board president, but he's on the board of directors, been on the board of directors the whole time. He called me one time. I have his cell phone number, but somebody else in my office called him back before I did. So I've never actually talked to him, but I want to, and just to tell that story.
Well, he does. I can't think of the name of his podcast. He does a baseball podcast, obviously, with a former major league guy. But Will's kind of like hit and miss with his schedule, whether or not he's there. And the other guy, I think his name's Eric something or other. Forgive me for not knowing, but like he just screams all the time. So then, I don't really follow it that much. But like, I hate the New York Yankees, so just Mac, I'm the worst bandwagon fan in the world when it comes to the Yankees because I lived on Long Island for 11 years, as Daniel
Yeah.
will tell you. But like when they're good, I'm insufferable. When they suck ass like they're doing right now, I'm like, don't even talk to me about it. Like, could care less. So,
But our friend Reed, who also brought 2 Tennessee fans to that tailgate that weekend, did you know that, Steve? That he also brought 2 10. Yeah, because Reed was like, I don't have any problem with the 10. He's like, I brought 2 of my own too. So what's the big deal?
Right.
But Reed says that Steve does a fabulous job of getting out in front of it when the Yankees are bad because Reed is such a giant Astros fan.
Right.
So that when you know that you're about to lose to the Astros, Reed complains that he can't dog you because you do such a great job of getting out in front of it, like you just did. Like, oh, the Yankees suck this year. I'm out.
George Steinbrenner's just rolling over in his grave. Like just
Yeah.
sell the team to somebody that gives a shit about winning. Like you can't be the New York Yankees and spout, 27 world championships. You haven't won in forever. Kansas City has won. Everybody else has won. Like Omaha, Nebraska has won the World Series since you did. Like just, I can't. Like either you're the Yankees and you're in it to win it constantly or you're just not. So I whatever. But that's not what we're talking about, Daniel. Today we got Mac on. Mac, we're gonna let you go and give us your input UGA this weekend, Tennessee.
Well, like before we got started, I was telling you, uh, UGA to Heupel was what Florida was to Phil back in the '90s. He just can't get over that hump, and I I won't. I ain't gonna believe it till I see it that he can do it. He finally got over the Bama hump. He finally proved, hey, I can beat Florida. There's no bad juju there. But his Florida is UGA, and Captain Bowl Cut is he, dude has had the same haircut since he was probably like 5 years old.
Yeah,
He
right,
Oh,
goes, probably
absolutely.
going to the same barber since he was a
right,
kid.
right.
Uh, Anyhow, until Kirby's got the defense, and the thing that he rests his laurels on. No matter how many points Tennessee's throw, I'm going to stop them. I can prove that gimmick that he has a gimmick offense. Blah 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 blah. Been hearing them mangy mutts talk about it all week long on Twitter. Uh, you know, until he actually does it, then I'll believe it when I see it. I think it's going to be a low scoring, knock down, drag out like a 20-16, 17-13, something like that. And
Right.
I'm just going to, I think UGA is going to pull it off again. And like I said, I'll believe it when I see it. Now, there's some factors, they starting a new quarterback on the road and Gunnar Stockton. Let's see what he's made of. I hope that rowdy crowd up there can make some noise, make him feel uncomfortable. They got some injuries on the offensive line. I seen that they put out their injury report a few minutes ago before I got on. Uh, and I'll tell you something else. You know, they ain't getting much penetration because Austin P, a local university here over in Clarksville, had them. They were only down like uh 21-6 in the third quarter, and they was going driving in to score on the
Right.
goal line, and they got stopped. But they moved the ball on the big bad dog defense.
Right.
And Austin P, they got a really good football team. They beat the devil out of MTSU in Murfreesboro, their first game of the year. Uh, so what Austin P was able to do to them was give me a little confidence. Uh, they stopped UGA on the goal line once, I think, from what I didn't see it, but uh, little old Austin P is giving me a little hope that uh, as far as defensively, our DB, we got two of our starting DBs out in Gibson and McCoy, but we got some young cats that, hey, you want to play big time college football? This is your opportunity
Opportunity.
to show out. Georgia's going to be physical. That's another thing that all the talking heads, you know, Georgia brings the physical. Tennessee's not physical. They're soft. Hey, this is your opportunity to prove you can be just as physical as them junkyard dogs, as they like to call themselves. Uh, be physical. Go out there. Uh, don't don't. I'll tell you something else. I keep jumping around. Sorry about that.
No, you're
No,
Uh,
good.
you
We're just bullshitting.
uh, another thing that kind of aggravates me about hype. Last year we're down in Athens. We had the lead. Second half, Kirby makes adjustments. He starts throwing the kitchen sink at them, and it's like they just stop what they're doing. Then defensively, we stop putting pressure on them. I'm like, why? You let that wall-eyed, weasel-looking quarterback sit back there.
I hate that guy. I irrationally hate him for no reason.
That is the look. Lord knows I was beat to death with the ugly stick the moment I come out of my mom's womb. But that dude is UGLY. Ain't
He
even got an
is.
alibi ugly.
Right, right.
So I mean,
He looks like one of those cartoon characters from what movie was it? Ice Age?
Ice
One of,
Age.
Oh
I think
yeah.
I think it's Ice
Right.
Age. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. We
Uh,
see my ex-wife didn't watch football, didn't care about it, whether it's NFL or college, but she would always say that give her 2 minutes to look at the game and she could tell you who the starting quarterback was because he was always the best looking guy on the field. Five head excluded. and the guy, Beck excluded as well. But usually that's a pretty good rule of thumb for him.
Yeah, that's pretty. How good looking? Well, I don't know that dude. Ooh,
Yeah, he wouldn't have passed that test.
Right.
No,
Right.
he wouldn't have passed that test at all. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess money. They say you can buy a lot of things with money. The
Uh-oh.
Did we lose Mac for a second there?
We did. He got sensitive. He was about to say what you could buy with money. I don't know what happened to him.
Let's see. He might have to come back on. His internet might have cut out.
Uh-oh. Well, we'll have him back in just a second as we go through these technical difficulties. But,
always something with the Geaux Team. We're having technical
That's all good.
difficulties almost every other night now.
Right, but then I pulled up Tennessee's schedule. So they got Georgia at home this weekend, UAB. They travel to Mississippi State, although Mississippi State had a nice win last weekend.
No, I'm not a believer in Mississippi State though.
Then home against Arkansas.
Is he back? Matt, can you hear us? No, not yet. I thought it was back. I hate the overreaction when it comes to teams winning a game. Like now Oklahoma's a legitimate team because they beat a bad Michigan team.
Braden was all over that Michigan team
Wait,
in that game.
I think I saw something now. Or maybe it just changes my screen. I don't know what happened. But then it's the same thing with Mississippi State. Just because you beat Arizona State doesn't make you legitimate because they're getting rankings in the top 25. But just because what would Arizona State's record be if they were in the SEC? Would they be a top 25 team? Max?
No. Oh, we're back. We're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were talking about what money could buy with a woman, and then you got the censors jumped in.
Yeah. Zombie Bob says the censors got the best idea.
Yeah.
Because they cut you off.
Your money can buy you a whole lot of things. And those two girls, goodness gracious, they're some lookers. Now that'd be his only chance. Because if he was just some bum walking around campus, they wouldn't give him the time of day.
Right.
Well, it's interesting. These athletes are like, with social media, he started dating the girl or one of the twins from Miami.
Yeah.
But Zombie, did you hear who Whit Weeks is now dating?
No.
Lane Kiffin's daughter. So
Really?
LSU linebacker Whit Weeks, one of the 3 Weeks brothers, because the youngest one's a freshman. It got announced this week she announced it on her social media that she's now dating Whit Weeks, but she was dating Walker Howard before that. Walker Howard was a quarterback. Yeah, he was a quarterback that started at LSU, went to Ole Miss, and is now at Louisiana Lafayette.
But is injured.
But they broke up before that.
Yeah, because he got injured.
But it's weird to me now in the social media age that like they just meet, like these famous people in college just meet each other and start dating because they just message each other on Instagram, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, they're the new power couples. I don't know how they did it back in the day. What's your guy Skeens and the gymnastics girl?
Dunn.
Livy Dunn.
At least they were at the same university, right?
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah, they went because Livy Dunn could never go out in public. So because she would just get swamped because she was so famous before she even got to LSU. So she pretty much stayed to herself with her roommates. So her roommate was dating Skeens' roommate. And so they just went over to hang out one night, and that's how it started.
Oh, wow.
Because she was so famous, she couldn't go anywhere.
They were like the Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift of LSU.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of sort of like Zombie Bob and Big Orange Mac on Bourbon Street back in the day. Couldn't even have peace and quiet to ourselves.
Hey, you know what? I was with the king of New Orleans. That's all I know. I was with the king, man. I was in his world. I was just a squirrel trying to get a nut in his world. That's all, man.
He has a story for every corner of that city.
Man, I tell you what. He was my own personal tour guide. He can tell me about whatever, and I was eating it up. He was giving me all the history, and y'all know I'm a big, huge history nerd, so I was eating it up. And he could tell me, this happened here, so and so, so and so, and I was just like, holy man, I was just man, he could tell me every cemetery that that was how many cemeteries is in New Orleans and who's all famous is buried there, and I was just like, man, they're like, that's why he the king, man. He
He's
the
the king of
king.
New Orleans.
He the
Now
king of New Orleans.
I'm gonna take a shot at Daniel Mac. There was a time when I was living on Long Island. My brother Daniel's driving down from Baton Rouge to go to a Saints game.
This story's
And-
blown out of proportion. I
And
already
the
know where this is
Louisiana
going.
Superdome that just turned 50 this year, right? This
Wow.
summer it turned 50. And Daniel called and said, "How do I get to the Superdome?"
Meaning, what would be the best exit to take to get to the
Yeah,
Superdome?
okay.
Because, for the record, do you remember what game that was?
No.
That was the first year I had season tickets. Me and I was at LSU at the time, and 3 of my buddies at LSU, we went in, we got 4 tickets together because it was the year after Katrina. And the Saints were giving away season tickets because it was $100 a seat for the entire season. Now we were
Wow.
all the way in the upper corner of the end zone,
He could
4
touch
rows.
the roof.
Yeah, the people behind us would bang on the wall of the Superdome because we were all the way at the top to make noise. And so that we were going, it was the Falcons Monday night game because I don't even think the Saints played preseason.
It wasn't the Steve Gleason game.
It was the Steve Gleason game.
You were at
Yes,
the
it
Steve
was.
Gleason game?
Yeah, you don't know this?
No.
And that was, well, because you were too busy telling the story about how I didn't know how to get to the Superdome. So
that was the same night?
yeah, so traffic was because it was a Monday night game. The
Yeah.
Saints didn't play preseason games because they were remodeling the Superdome
Right.
post Katrina, and it was week 3. The Saints played the Packers and like the Falcons before that, and they were
No, they
2-0.
Falcons were that
Well, no, the
night.
Falcons, yeah, or somebody. They played 2 people. They were 2-0 going in that game. The Falcons with Michael Vick were 2-0, so it was a huge game. Welcome back to the Superdome. Traffic was the worst it's ever been. Like it was standstill all the way back to Kenner. And so we tried to get there like 5 hours early, and we sat in traffic for like 3 or 4 hours. And so that's why I called you. Do you know any I could have phrased
You
the
didn't say
question
any,
better.
yeah. How do I get to the Superdome? Dude, hats off to you. I didn't realize you were at the Gleason game when Steve Gleason blocked the punt.
I've been to a lot of LSU games, a lot of big LSU games. That Steve Gleason block punt was the loudest single moment I ever remember in a football game.
Exactly.
Because the Superdome, when it's loud, it's louder than Tiger Stadium because the roof. Because everything just kept in there, and it's so much louder. And that, I mean, that the building literally felt like it exploded when.
Wow.
And that was I was in that end zone when it happened. It was right in front of me.
I would not have realized that. Good on you, Daniel.
Well, you did know that, but you were too busy retelling the story that Daniel doesn't know how to get to the Superdome.
Never let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Good story.
Okay?
Yeah, there you go.
And I think I hung up on you, or not hung up. I was like, all right,
I'm
whatever.
sure you did. Like this
I'm like-
asshole.
Yeah, I was like, I'll call Dwayne.
Yeah, right.
But didn't the Saints, now wait a minute, we're jog my memory. Now, what year that they won the Super Bowl? Was it 06 or 07?
09.
Oh, no.
Oh, 09. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They got to the NFC Championship in 06, surprisingly. They didn't know what they had in Drew Brees yet. You know, it was all about Reggie Bush and that
Yeah.
06, you know, and whatnot. But then Drew Brees slowly but surely emerged to be the Drew Brees that we know. So yeah, 2009, they started off 13-0, and wound up
I forgot they
winning.
started 13-0. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they lost their last 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But going back to Tennessee, Georgia, because we went on a sidebar
quite
here.
of a rant.
My question is because obviously, you know, because we don't play Tennessee, I guess I haven't done as much research on y'all this year, is how would you compare this year's defense to last year's?
This year's defense, they look a bit more physical to me than last year. Now we lost our first round draft pick, James Pierce Jr. But as far as on the D line, I think I think we're just as good as we were last year. I think our linebacker situation is better. Uh, they just really, and it really aggravated me in the Syracuse game. You know, they were kind of sitting back playing that soft zone, just kind of, you know, letting the D line kind of. But I know it was. They were up ahead, and I figured they just kind of just let them, you know, call the dogs off on them, you
Yeah.
know. Uh,
Especially when you got a
but
big matchup a couple weeks later.
yeah, yeah. Uh, They, I think this defense. And Heupel said during the SEC media days that he feels really good about this defense. We got a local kid from here. Well, he's in the next town over in Greenbrier. When Jackson Moy went out, Nathan Robertson took over in his spot in the Syracuse game. He calls a strip sack and a scoop and score
Okay.
on defense. Um, I think we got some guys that, you know, if we got some guys, you know, that go out to injury, the guys behind them can step in and do just as good of a job. I feel good about this defense. We just keep everybody healthy. You know, our two starting corners are out. Like I mentioned earlier, are you know, the young DBs. This is your opportunity to shine. This is where you're gonna make some money, starting this weekend. And when we had some technical difficulties, I could hear y'all. Y'all was talking about uh, y'all was
The
talking about
rest of
going
the
to Mississippi
schedule,
State.
right?
That game scares me. It scares me more than UGA because I know what it is with UGA. That game going to Starkville, if it's going to be a night game in down cowbells, let me
Right.
tell you something. They was on fire Saturday night against Arizona State.
That's what we're talking
They
about,
was
right?
going absolutely nuts. I'm kind of like, ooh, that game scares me.
See, I'm just
And
not a believer. I feel like the media overhypes. Like, I think Arizona State last year was a fluke, and so I think the Big 12 is just such a shit show because they're all basically the same team, and it's just whoever kind of wins the games and gets
yeah,
lucky. But if Mississippi State was in the Big 12, they'd be a contender. But if Arizona State
yeah,
was in the SEC, I feel like they'd be Kentucky.
Mississippi State.
yeah,
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 or well, yeah,
yeah,
less than Mississippi
Right.
State.
yeah.
They
All right,
wouldn't
but
be
Mac,
anything special.
even if you're worried a little bit about Mississippi State, so let's put Georgia
And
to the
maybe I
side.
maybe I hate Brandon Walker too much too. I know
Well,
Max got some
maybe
That
so.
mutual.
fat slob. I'm telling you, if we go down there and shit the bed, I know that fat gelatinous sweating bacon grease all over the place. I know he's gonna be. He's going.
I'm writing that one
mean,
down. That one is sweat and bacon grease.
I tried to get him to block me on Twitter. He wouldn't block me because it was obvious that I was trying to get him to block me. So he
Uh-huh.
muted me instead, which smart
Uh-huh.
move on his part.
Right.
Because that was during a stretch where he was getting shit on Twitter for blocking people.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and so I was trying to get him to block because the last time we played Mississippi State 2 years ago, I don't remember the score, but we absolutely annihilated them when he predicted that they would beat us.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. All right, but wait, let's go back to your schedule, Mac. All right, so even put this game aside with Georgia, UAB at Mississippi State. Like you said, if it's Saturday night and the cowbells are ringing, okay, well maybe, but like
yeah,
home against Arkansas,
yeah.
at Alabama, October 18th, but Alabama's not really what we're
No,
thinking. Alabama's not Alabama. It might still
yeah,
be a tough game, but they're not.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
They're not going to roll over and play dead by
right,
no
right.
means.
But still, all
no.
right, Kentucky. Luckily, fortunately, not luckily, but fortunately, you got Oklahoma at
Home at
home,
home.
New Mexico State, Florida. I mean, Florida may come back up again, but
Yeah,
late November. But then Vanderbilt. So,
yeah.
so
I
what's your thoughts overall?
I
Do you see
think
10-2 and getting into the playoffs?
I'm calling 9-3
Okay.
because we gonna slip up against like Arkansas and then South Carolina in 22. We got one of those games that we think we're gonna win. Somebody's gonna slip up on us.
Okay.
And I think Oklahoma is a whole lot better than they were last year. That's going to be tough. Uh, and it's kind of like with UGA about, I said about UGA, I believe when I see it. I believe we can win in the swamp. We had one in the swamp in 20 years. So
Geez, and
I
it's been
believe
that
it.
long.
Yeah. 2003 was the last time we beat them in Gainesville. And
I was a senior in
that's
high school.
I was just barely out of high school. I was maybe 2 or 3 years removed myself. So it was that was the last time that we actually won in Gainesville. And then before that, we won in 2001. And before 2001, the last time we had actually won in Gainesville was 1971.
Jeez.
Well, the old
Yeah.
ball coach would troll Tennessee. He's like, you can't
Yeah.
spell citrus
Citrus
without
out
UT.
UT and
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And the thing is with Spurrier, I don't know if he always felt a little bitterness being up from Johnson City, Tennessee, that he never did get a look from UT. I don't know, but I was watching his SEC story. Never understood how the hell a kid from Johnson City, Tennessee, ended up in Gainesville. Well, Florida had a coach by the name of Ray Graves. Ray Graves played at UT. Ray Graves' brother was the postmaster in Knoxville.
Really?
And he had wrote Ray Graves a letter, said, "Hey, there's a kid up here in Johnson City you want to take a look at." Well, at that time, Tennessee was still running the old single wing. Ray Graves was kind of moving toward throwing the ball a little bit more. So he went up to Johnson City, got Spurrier to come down and recruited him. And he said at that time, Tennessee was still running a single wing. He said Ray Graves was a little bit more innovative and wanting to toss it around a little bit more, and that was right up my alley. So that's how a kid from Johnson City ended up in Gainesville. So, he was he was so annoying, and him running up the score on people and rubbing it in.
He'd do it to us too, because he interviewed for the LSU job in what was it, 86?
Really?
And we hired, what would that have been, Mike Archer instead?
Yeah, right after Onsborough.
Yeah, after
Bill
Bill
was the
Arnsbarger.
DC on that staff,
Yeah,
right?
so he interviewed for it in 86, and we hired Archer instead.
Archer.
And so he always had a vendetta against LSU and would run up the score every single time.
Okay, did not know. So that's when instead of going, LSU didn't hire him. He went to Duke.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then right, crazy shit, right?
And we almost could have hired him instead of Les Miles, but he went. But fucking Nick Saban decided to wait until Christmas Day to decide to go to the NFL. But that was the same coaching cycle that South Carolina hired Spurrier. But we would have been a lot more appealing job for Spurrier than Les Miles. But then South Carolina, we hired Les Miles.
South Carolina, right?
And he is the winningest coach at 2 different SEC schools.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That is crazy. He's the winningest coach at 2 different SEC schools, which says a lot about his coaching prowess.
Right.
And God, I think about all the characters that's been head coaches in this conference over the years. You really don't. That freaking dork up there in Missouri tries to be that.
I quote you all the time. I call him Rugrat all the time.
Rugrat. I fucking hate Rugrat. Fuck Rugrat. I hate that nerd. Like,
I use that reference all the time, and people are like, "What Rugrat? Where do you get that from?" I'm like, "Follow Big Orange Mac on Twitter."
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great reference.
He looks just like that dude, and I hate how he gets under my skin. Like I was hoping like maybe Kansas would knock them off last weekend. Cause he talks more shit than a. Yeah, he's so full of shit. He's more full of shit than an outhouse.
Not to dunk on Tennessee here, but the story about when he went up to Heupel after he beat, what was that, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
After the game,
Yeah.
The Zombie, do you know the story that
Yeah.
after the game he goes up to Heupel and he says, we stood on business, Josh, in the handshake, but because he told his team before the game, if y'all beat them or hold them under a certain number of points, then I'll go up to Heupel after the game and shake his hand and say we stood on business. And so he told the story after the fact because apparently he apologized to Heupel, but he told the team that before, and then he said two of his guys were literally following him, making sure that he
That
said
he
it.
said it, right?
And so he immediately called Heupel after the game and apologized. But that's one of those, if he's your coach, you love him, but for doing
Yeah.
stuff like that.
But you can't apologize if you're going to do it.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, you don't
Right.
apologize.
Yeah.
Don't be a bitch and apologize. You know, you actually didn't stand on business, you fucking nerd.
Right.
You know, you wouldn't stand on business the 2 years prior to that. We hung 60-something points on your ass
Yeah.
twice.
It's the
You
same
know-
college football fans, especially in the SEC, aren't passionate.
I was talking to there's a guy that I work with. He's from Las Vegas, and a lot of us local guys, we like to go to the local high schools and watch the kids play. And we try to get him and his dad to come out. They're all from Vegas. He's like, "Do y'all know somebody playing?" No, we're just going to go watch football. Well, out in Vegas, we don't go watch unless we know them. I'm like, y'all watch NFL on Sunday. You don't know none of them guys. Y'all
Right.
watch NFL on Sunday. So
Right.
they don't understand. Like they don't understand why college down here is so much bigger than the pros.
Right.
And I was like, look, y'all have to understand before 1966, when the Falcons and the Braves and when the Saints start, when is it 66?
66. November of 66, they were founded.
That college football was the only thing we had down here.
Right. And then even
and-
back then, Tulane here in New Orleans was a founding member of the SEC.
Yes, they were.
So
Yes, they were. And also Sewanee
I knew
between here
that.
and Chattanooga. Sewanee.
And Georgia Tech was the other one, right?
Yes,
That's
Georgia
not in
Tech.
there.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, Georgia Tech was the other one. Sewanee was the first to leave, and then Tulane, and then Georgia Tech finally left. The reason why Georgia Tech left was because Bobby Dodd, former Tennessee player, was the head coach at Georgia Tech, and he felt that there was some practice. The recruiting practices just wasn't fair, and and he was mainly calling out Alabama, and him and Bryant had a grudge against each other, and so Bryant finally buried the hatchet with him and told him, he's like, look, because Bobby Dodd said, hey, if this crap don't stop, we're gonna leave, and Bryant said, hey, look, if you want to go to the main office and we'll talk with them with the board and this and that, and I'll back you up on this, just solving this problem. Well, Bryant was a no-show and left Bobby Dodd out to dry.
Really?
And so Bobby Dodd said, you know what, we're out.
Uh-huh.
So
I remember Bobby Dodd.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Georgia Tech.
So our father hated Alabama before, it's cool in Baton Rouge ever since Saban got to Alabama to hate Alabama, but it wasn't the biggest rivalry prior to that. It was a rivalry, but not the biggest. But our old man hated Alabama with a passion.
I would love to talk to your dad.
There's a famous game. Was it 96 or 98? I forget, because they beat our ass both times. It was in Tiger Stadium. Sean Alexander ran for 3,000 yards in one game. I think it was the Alabama rushing record, where he had like 270 yards rushing against us in Tiger Stadium. We were losing 26 or 27-0, which back then was the equivalent of losing like 45-0 now. And were you at that game, Steve? And the old man, I remember turning around and be like, can we leave? And he refused to leave because he said, because he was pissed from opening kickoff, because there were so many Alabama fans in the stadium. And so he's cursing out these people. Where'd you get those tickets from? Did you get those from a season ticket holder? I'm going to curse them out next week when they come back. He was pissed.
That sounds like me when we were going through bad years.
And so he wouldn't leave because he said, I don't want them to know that they got to me.
Right.
So he refused to leave the stadium, and we had to sit there and listen to him scream from the top of his lungs the entire game, cursing out. I don't even remember. It was DeBose the coach then.
Yeah,
I think it was 98, right?
Yeah, DeBose became coach in 98 because Stallings was it 96 or 97 when Stallings left.
They blew us out in both of those games in 96 and 97. So I don't remember which one it was, but I remember it was the Sean Alexander game, because I just remember sitting there, because I sat in the seat directly in front of them, because we had those years we had 9 tickets together, and 4 on the back row, 5 on the front row, and I was directly in front of him. And I remember trying to talk him into leaving, and then turning around and having to sit there and watch Sean Alexander just destroy us.
We were close to 90. It must have been 96, because 98 was 22-16. Because actually,
then it wasn't that one. I remember that one now.
And we were beating them, and either we threw an interception or something, and all of a sudden Alabama returned it, and then all of a sudden it's like, on the
we dropped a couple interceptions too.
Yeah,
we dropped an interception, and it bounced. I remember this. It was in the north end zone in front of us. An interception bounced off of a DB's hands, and then they caught it in the end zone. But anyway, so it was 96. But I do have. Or go ahead.
My hatred, the 93 game in Birmingham, we had the lead, and David Palmer.
Yeah,
on a 2-point conversion. I just knew. I said, which it was ended in a tie, but it felt like a loss. And I was in my parents' living room. My eyes welled up, and like I felt this great, furious anger, like this great, furious anger in my heart. And I said, from that moment on, like, they were my I pounded the living room floor. Mama said, "What's wrong with you?" And I just walked out, tears were streaming down my face. And she was like, "That child is just get too wrapped up in them ball games." and so, and then from that moment on, I have despised them red jokers. That's why their recent demise has just been so delicious. And the people that live around here, and I know people that when I was growing up that wasn't even into sports, are these big, huge Alabama fans. And I'm like, dude, you didn't even watch football when we was growing up, and now you're this big Alabama fan. Get the hell out of here. And
I hate those.
And they walk around so arrogant and just
100%. And like all that anger that you have and like dislike of Alabama, our dad had that so much so he refused to watch the movie Forrest Gump. He's like, no.
To the day he died, he refused to watch it.
Right. Now, look,
I love it.
I got the 96 stats. LSU. You got it?
So I was going to do an old man impression.
Oh, go ahead.
I ain't going to watch no stupid fucking movie about a dumb redneck from Alabama.
Because I know enough of them.
Oh, my God. We would have been
friends. I've ran into enough of them in my life. That's what he used to say.
So look,
ain't that the damn truth?
Sean Alexander, 96, 20 rushes, 291 yards,
291,
14.6 average, 4 touchdowns.
It was bad. I remember it was bad. It was like the SEC rushing record at the time. I don't remember if it's broken since then or what. But we're 53 minutes in, and I just thought, with Mac here, we've kind of buried the lead. What's the biggest story from the outside perspective about Tennessee football this year? Is the quarterback. How do you feel about Nico at UCLA stinking it up through 2 games? And then
that's also been delicious. That's
Right.
we've
that's
buried the lead here on this.
man. We were all duped. Sure, the kid's talented. Don't get me wrong, but uh, I think we 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 put the money out there for him to come, and we see it was all about the money. Uh,
Mhm.
him, yeah, yeah. Looking back, I went to bat for him. Hey man, he's just a freshman. I didn't think he did that bad. Now that he turned his back on us, it's like the Kiffin situation. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, fuck you. And then,
Mhm.
and then all now all the stories are coming out about how his daddy would tell him he had these engagements where autograph sessions, and he'd call his daddy, I don't want to do this, and the word around here is that his daddy would call the dealership and cuss him out, and like he ain't got to do that fucking shit, he's there to play quarterback. And uh they said he lived off campus. He really didn't fuck with nobody on the team. That's the word going around. But they said he really didn't fuck with nobody on the team. He kind of acted, uh, kind of like a diva. Uh, but then, he hightails it. He found out, his daddy was shopping him around to Oregon, and Oregon tipped us off. And then when the news article, the Pete Nakos of On Three, he blew the story open. Then his daddy called and cussed him out. You know, so
Right.
uh, it was a shit show all summer long. Uh, and now he's at UCLA, and they said, "Oh, we got better talent around us now, and we're going to be we're able to do more offensively." Yeah, you're laying on your back like a $2 hooker. so, so every time you look around, UNLV defense was on his ass. That first game, they had him on his back. So good luck with that. I think we came out smelling like a rose with the
Right.
Aguilar kid. I
Right.
hope
Yeah.
I hope he's our Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Got him out of the portal. But he's got such an amazing story. Didn't get any looks out of high school. He went to a JUCO. He decided to quit football in college altogether. And he was thinking about becoming a firefighter. And all the people around him was like, "Hey, you're a good football player. Don't give up on it." And he eventually he went to another JUCO, spent 2 years at App State, and then he went to UCLA. Then we did a little quarterback switch, and all the people that hated on all the talking heads like Joel Klatt, um, all the talking heads, and all Josh Heupel, he made a mistake. This is career suicide. So far, he's looking like a genius so far.
Right.
It
Right.
looks
So
like from the outside looking in, it looks like addition by subtraction so far.
yeah,
Oh,
there you
absolutely.
go.
Right.
But maybe the
Absolutely.
guy's not as talented on, physically, but it's probably a net positive,
Yeah.
uh, is the way it looks like. But you'll see
Uh,
the results would be, like you said, show me this week.
Show me
And
this
then,
week what you made
Right.
of. 'Cause, Big Back George is coming to town, and that's the one team that you have yet to prove that you can beat, that you can compete with. If you can beat UGA, that tells me that you can compete with the upper echelon of college football again, with your Ohio States, with your Oregons, and we know we can beat Bama. Bama's not Bama anymore,
Right.
and good. Fuck them. I hate them.
well, it's like a transition period in the SEC because now the window's open for
Yeah,
LSU, Tennessee to
yeah,
get back to the top of the mountain because
yeah.
it wasn't always just Alabama, it wasn't always just Georgia. There's always
No,
somebody else right there.
yeah,
Whether it was Florida, LSU, y'all years ago, there's always somebody. And
yeah.
so is this our window for our two teams to kind of get back to that
I
level?
think it can be. I think it can be. Uh, now there's always going to be an outlier. So one of those a team that, oh well, damn, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
A team that you're not expecting. And I'm gonna say this about Ole Miss. I think Kiffin has reached his ceiling at Ole Miss. I could be wrong. He could get them in the playoffs this year. I don't, but I just think he's
But
met
he
his
didn't
ceiling.
last year. He had that
Yeah,
$20 million roster last year, and he
yeah,
didn't get him in.
yeah.
I think he's the new Malzahn, where like years that they're predicted to do well, they kind of fall flat, and then the next year they don't really have expectations, and then they kind of go,
That's where he
they're a little bit
thrive.
better, and so then they get back in the national pick. It's kind of been that cycle with Kiffin at Ole Miss,
Yeah,
but if
I
he
mean,
doesn't do it this year, when's he going to do it?
yeah, and thank you. Ole Miss hasn't won a SEC title or any kind of title since 1962.
Yeah.
So, to go into Oxford and do what he's done, I mean, David Cutcliffe, he had his moments at Ole Miss. What's it, what they call him, old Pine Box with Tommy Tuberville when he had a little success down there. Uh, but really, he's Kiffin's really been there. Kind of brought him out of, finally brought him out of Jim Crow, so to speak.
Yeah, I have two buddies that have a 20-year bet on Ole Miss football that
Really?
Ole Miss will not make the SEC championship game in the next 20 years. And we're going on somewhere around like year nine. Well, we got to be somewhere around year 10 of this bet. And so now with no divisions, it seems like it might be harder for them to make
Yeah,
it with
yeah,
the addition of Oklahoma and Texas on top of that. It's
Right.
it's probably harder for them to make it. But now they're talking about maybe getting rid of the SEC championship game if they go to automatic qualifiers for the playoffs and making it like a play-in game, a doubleheader play-in for the playoff spots. So then that would negate the bet.
yeah.
But
That would, going back to the old days. Whoever came out number one in the conference, they gave you your SEC championship. Uh, I look at the SEC championship game as entertainment more or less. Uh, now teams are fearing, if you lose in the SEC championship game, it'll ruin your chances in getting in the
The
playoffs. So
playoffs, right?
I could see that. It's kind of like we won the SEC championship in '85, and really we won it on a technicality because Florida was on probation. Florida beat us in Gainesville again that year, and it was like 17-14 or something like that. But because they were on probation, we won the SEC title that year after we beat Vanderbilt. And then, we went on to play Miami in the Sugar Bowl. That was the first game I ever watched. Yeah,
Oh, we've talked
football.
about that.
Yeah,
I got it written down
I
right
told your
here.
brother I told Steve about that.
Yeah.
You know, my dad worked at a hotel over in Nashville, and he was over all the bellhops there, and a bunch of little young dudes, and they were all like, Miami this, Miami that, and well, no, whoa, I'll take that back. They were Tennessee fans, and my daddy was like, "Y'all not beating Miami. Put your money where your mouth is." So their little bellhop money, they all pulled it together, and my daddy ended up losing that bet. And so I remember
Well,
him. He said, "Hey, come in here and watch this with me." And I remember watching. I had no idea what I was looking at, but I just know my daddy he was just over it, just oh no, he was just having losing his mind, and I didn't like what's this? This the orange team is winning. Why are you mad?
right.
And
Well, he was
and that
mad
yeah,
because Vinny Testaverde was throwing 5 interceptions.
Sanchez,
I was
yeah,
at that game, Daniel, with
yeah,
Gia. So I was dating a girl that I'm still to this day friends with. And she and I were there. She was pulling for Miami. And we were sitting in the middle of a Tennessee section. And I sang Rocky Top all night long, much to her chagrin. Because he was like a Heisman Trophy winner, Vinny
yeah,
Testaverde, and threw
yeah,
5 interceptions in that game.
yeah,
That was a
and
fun night.
uh the defense coordinator Ken Donahue, he played at Tennessee, but he was a long time assistant under Barry Bryant.
Hmm.
And one of the key things in that game that Ken Donahue noticed when their offensive linemen were putting pressure on their fingertips, they were fisting a run. When he noticed they were sitting back on their heels, they were fisting a pass. So when he waited, and seen when them offensive linemen were sitting back on their heels. He'd send Dale Jones. He'll send Marco Vanek. He'd send George Clinkscales on the blitz. I mean, he
Right.
on their ass.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But the 40th anniversary team is being honored this weekend.
No, this weekend they're honoring John Henderson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, they're honoring John Henderson this week. I don't know when they're going to do it, but I hope they like do a big like
Right.
that's what other than the '98 team, what we call them the Sugar Vols. The Sugar Vols is like everybody's my age and older, their favorite team because they weren't the best team, they weren't the biggest team, but their claim to fame is going in and beating big bad Miami and dog walking them in the Sugar Bowl.
Right.
So that's everybody's favorite team.
Now, Mac, are you still doing local radio shows? I remember after the Tennessee game down here, you did a call-in report.
Yeah, now they kind of. I used to call in, but now they kind of do it different. They did it on the Twitter Spaces, and it was easier access. But now after the games, you got to call in, and it's so hard to get through. And so I just kind of like listen. But I had really last year I really didn't get to listen much because my girlfriend was like, "Hey, you got to watch the game. It's me time now." So I really didn't get to listen much after games. She'd give me a window to watch the game, but then after that, hey, we're going out to dinner. Or we're going to do something. I want to do. So I was like, okay. So.
You see, and I told my girlfriend after the Clemson game, she's like, "So this is like what life is like now." I'm like, "Yeah," like because when my team wins, I cannot absorb enough positive information that essentially says, "Steve, you're a genius for being a fan of this team." So like the Clemson game's over, I'm on Twitter. The bird space and getting all the positive feedback and everything. I talked to Daniel the next morning. I talked to her brother the next morning. And then next thing you know, it's almost like 11:30, 12 o'clock. And she's like, same thing, Mac, like, "Okay, well, you're going to talk to me this weekend?" I'm like, "Yeah, still talking football."
Yeah, Mary yells at my wife yells at me because she hears me have the same conversation over and over again. The same hour-long conversation with 12 different people after the game and then Sunday morning.
Yeah, no, totally. All right, but speaking of girlfriends, Mac, before we run out of time, hey, next time Tennessee's down here, just know that you and however many people you want to bring, totally welcome. We'll put you up. We'll take care of you. That's an open invitation.
Hey, are y'all coming up? Not to cut you off, are y'all going to come up to Nashville when y'all play Peabody?
I looked at that. I got a conflict. I was thinking about going.
Okay.
We talked. Did I message you about that, Steve?
No.
But then I'm also going to Tuscaloosa this year. I don't know if Steve
you're going
knows
with
that.
Angry Capri?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
but enough of that.
I have sweet tickets. No, I got to brag about this for a second. I got sweet tickets in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I was there in 2011, 9-6.
I know that's why because how many times have you been, Steve?
3.
This will only be my second time.
I've been to 2
Our
games.
brother Mac, that has a really good friend that married into like old Alabama money. And they have a suite in the stadium, so much so that like you go to take a piss in the bathroom, and I don't know if it's Bear Bryant looking at you, but like an autographed, personalized. Everything in there is autographed and personalized to our brother's friends' in-laws. And in addition to that, I think they have 6 or 8 tickets in the end zone suites and look, those people got so much money, they don't sweat you at all. Like, "Oh, hey, come on in, LSU, you're going to have fun. You need anything, just let us know. This is my name, this is that." But like, you ain't going to win, trust me, But that was, in 2015. So, but,
because it's the hoity-toity crowd, so they're not
Oh yeah, they're not yet. They're not like us poors.
There's a guy, and I for the life of me, I cannot remember his name. I know his whole life story, but it's 2015. We thought we had a chance, LSU did, and they were toying with us. And
It was Leonard Fournette game.
Leonard Fournette game, but Derrick Henry game, right? So I turned to this
Yeah.
gentleman who I was talking to all night, and I said, "Why are y'all kicking field goals? Like, just go for it. We don't have an offense to do anything against you. Like, you're toying with us." And Mac, he laughed at me, and he said, "Do you know why I don't question the head coach of Alabama football, which was Saban?" And I said, "No, sir." He's like, "Because I would never take a pay cut to $10 million a year to coach football." So
Wow.
he left about halfway through the fourth, but he said to me, "My boy's going to win the Heisman Trophy, Derrick Henry." They did. He's like, "Once you guys are out the way, we're going to win the national championship." They did. So then he and his very much younger wife leave. Well, then the guys behind me, they're like, "Do you know who that was?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Mr. Bob or whatever." And like, no, no, no. Like when that guy said he would never take a pay cut to $10 million a year, like he wasn't joking. I'm like, holy.
Wasn't he like a trucking or a lumber guy?
He did every. Like I went home, my brother. Like, look, if my team loses, I don't want to know shit, right? I'm googling this guy. His dad had a mom and dad busted their ass back in the day running a gas station in the middle of nowhere, but the aunt owned the gas station, so she made more money owning it than his parents did busting their ass running it. And then they had, like those old gas stations had like one or two U-Hauls back in the day. And then the son, this guy was saying to his father, "You're getting ripped off. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. Yeah, you're so smart. Well, why don't you get some?" So this guy, and when I first met him and we're introducing ourselves, he's like, "Steve, what do you do for a living?" Well, at the time I ran some trucks. My brother and I did business with trucks. "Oh, I do a little bit of trucking." Literally, Mac, he said, "I do a little bit of trucking." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, I got 10 trucks here in New Orleans." He's like, "Oh, yeah, we got a couple of 100,000 chassis that we lease out and
Yeah.
everything." He was into real estate. He had storage facilities. He had a knockoff on U-Hauls. Like, this guy was so freaking loaded. I was just like in awe. But I cannot for the life of me think of the guy's name, his real name. But
It was something like Joe Smith or something. I remember it was a basic
Billy
name.
Bob Smith.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
just
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Either
yeah.
that or
So,
you just made up a name when you told the story afterwards.
Right. No, whatever. All right, but wait, I'm trying to get to, you and your lady friend come down in March. All right. We'll put you up. Daniel and I walk in the St. Patrick's Day parade here in New Orleans, the Irish Channel, which is historically a neighborhood in New Orleans where the Irish and German immigrants settled
Mhm.
back in the 1800s. And then the next day we're going to ride in a parade in the suburb in Metairie, and it's wild because you actually throw produce to the people on the streets. Like, you're on the float, but you throw cabbage and onions and potatoes and lemons and limes and moon pies, and like you can throw mac and cheese, or like I get the big barrel of cheese puffs. And people get that for me. It's $6.99 at the store, right? Mac, people hold it up like the Stanley Cup trophy
Yeah.
or whatever, because nobody else throws it. So we'll talk again. Come down.
All
All you
right.
need is one tuxedo. Bring your lady friend. We got you for the weekend.
All
You
right.
will have so much fun, man. So much fun.
And that's crawfish season too.
And
Oh,
it's
okay.
crawfish
Oh,
season. Yeah. So
Which weekend is that? Do you know, Steve?
it's got to be. Actually, there's a meeting coming up, but give me 1 second.
It
It's like
doesn't
it's the weekend before St.
yeah,
Patrick's Day.
but it doesn't conflict with Angry Capri's crawfish
No,
cook-off.
his is later.
Is this like March 21st or something?
Hold on, Larry.
I'm going off the top of my head, memory here. I think we double checked this before.
We've double checked it. Yeah, because
Okay.
you and I talked about Metairie Road.
Yes, that's right.
And
We
you
did.
checked it. Yeah. So
Because I do,
that's-
Mac, I do 2 crawfish cook-off
Okay.
competitions now, and I've never won any of them, but one of them has 50 teams. The other one had 40 something teams.
oh wow.
We got 3rd place in one in Baton Rouge, 2nd place in one in New Orleans, or right
Yeah,
outside
so-
of New Orleans.
Max, Saturday, March 14th, 2026.
Okay.
is the parade. So we start
Okay.
drinking at about 10 o'clock in the morning. We step off around 1 p.m. And like literally all you do is you walk the route, right? And then you
Hmm.
just hand out carnations. In theory, you can hand out a carnation and receive a kiss from a young lady or an old lady or whatever. It's not mandatory to get a kiss and all, but like it's my favorite day of the entire year. Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. A lot of
Okay.
fun. So we'll talk about
March
it some more, but
14th.
like I said,
Okay. All
all
right.
right. So, all right. I mean, Mac, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can you can find me on Twitter. Well, I refuse to call it X. It's gonna be
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Twitter
don't ever
until
call that.
his
Twitter.
mama
Right.
named him X. I'm gonna call him X. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
At Big Orange Mac, or my name on there is Big Back Mac,
All right.
or you can find me on TikTok as well as Big Orange Mac. Uh, you can find me on those social media platforms. Uh, I'm
Or
all
on
about
Bourbon
having
Street.
fun and cutting up and
Right.
talk about inappropriate things and
Right.
cussing out Bama fans. That's what I
Yeah.
love to do.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
love the periodic warning that you post,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to all my new
For yeah,
followers.
to my new people,
Right.
you need to know
yeah,
this.
You're going to be offended one way or the other at some point.
yeah.
Right. Right.
Nowadays, yeah,
Yeah.
Sometimes
So.
it's hard to find you because I think you get what's called shadow banned
yeah.
every
I
now
got
and then.
banned the opening weekend
Yeah.
of I got banned. I said something ugly about the school shooter, so they didn't like that too much. I was suspended for 6 days.
Ooh, that's an eternity.
Well,
Yeah,
even sometimes when you're not banned, like you don't show up in the search.
Really?
really.
Yeah, and they do. I know they shadow ban like some people, like because
Yeah,
what isn't that the whole reason Elon bought it? Not to go political here, but he bought it
yeah.
because they were suppressing certain people. But there's been times where I try to search your profile and it doesn't pop up right away.
Huh. Well, I never knew that.
Right.
Yeah. So much for free speech. I get in trouble. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So,
so then when
I
I search it and then I have to look at tweets and then it'll show tweets where you're tagged in it and then I can click on the profile, but it
yeah.
doesn't pop up as the first profile because normally it does that. But so it's done that sometimes and then it does it normal and then it'll do it again. So every now and then you must be getting in trouble a little bit.
Yeah.
it wouldn't be Big Orange Mac if he wasn't.
No, it wouldn't be me if I
Right.
wouldn't be getting in trouble.
Exactly. So, all right, look, send best to your family, your mom and your sister
I
and
will.
everybody.
Likewise
Always a
to y'all.
pleasure. And like you said, brothers from another mother, man. We
Yeah,
always
that's
enjoy
right.
hanging
That's
out with
right.
you. All
Always.
right, man. Always the best. Thank you, man.
All right. See
All right,
y'all.
Have a good one.
y'all have a good night.
You too.